Hello and welcome back to the channel. LC here with some quick first impressions on the Diofield Chronicles Demo that just dropped a bit earlier today. Since this game was first announced, it immediately piqued my interest in both its gameplay and stylistic approach. Coming off the heels of Triangle Strategy, SC has currently accrued a lot of good faith with me when it comes to the strategy RPG genre, and that looks to only be continuing with the future release of Tactics Ogre Remastered. So to start off with, the demo is around 2 to 3 hours in length overall, boasting a handful of missions to help familiarize you within the landscape of the world of Elation. So let's kick off talking about both the story and the protagonist. Your central character and POV into this world is Andreas Rondarson, who was once previously a bodyguard to a royal prince. The setting for this world is more of a medieval European era type vibe, with everything from like armor-clad knights, dragons, and of course people running around in that very drippy plague mask. Although the characters that were introduced throughout the demo's playtime were fairly compelling with their own ambitions and motives that tie into the world's overarching societal and political arcs, while there isn't a character like Dragon from Triangle Strategy that might immediately hook you in with his charismatic nature and superb line delivery, overall I found that I quite liked the more reserved nature of the game's primary characters. The game intrinsically illustrates that every character here has a past that they may or may not want to forget, and their political maneuverings are much more methodical and more in line with what you'd expect out of a real-life scenario. All in all, when it comes to the story and the characters, I would say that there's more than enough intrigue for most players to plop down 70 bones to see how the story unfolds. All the familiar story beats are here, from power-hungry aristocrats to corrupt religious theocracies and scheming nobles. If that kind of thing is your bag, you'll be right at home in this new universe. But the real question ultimately is going to be, does this story have enough originality in its storytelling and its execution to distinguish itself amongst its peers? That remains to be seen. And then sliding on over to presentation, let me start out by saying that I absolutely love the art style that this game is using. It's kind of a tie between like Drakengard and Tactics Ogre. The character portraits in particular are absolutely godlike. However, in game, there's a bit of a different discussion to be had, and this is definitely going to be the thing that sticks out to most people like a sore thumb. In standard views, as you traverse around your home base, and the models kind of look very basic. I did play this on the PS5, like I'm talking something that might actually rival a PS3 game in some cases. From just a glance, it looks like some of the later generation Star Ocean games visually, and while some of the cutscenes look pretty good for pre-rendered assets, it definitely feels that this game had a very modest budget. This also extends to some of the voice work as well. Not every line of dialogue is voiced in this game, which I actually think is a pretty good choice. It allows players to quickly exit dialogue screens, but the VA work that is present is more than serviceable, and it definitely allowed for some character depth to be illustrated.
Implications of prestige then? Or wealth? Or perhaps both?
So that remains to be seen. So most of the characters that were in the demo, the voice acting was pretty serviceable. And then jumping over to some of the cosmetics, the menus and the UIs I thought were all pretty good. You know, when you're in your home base, it definitely gives me more of like a 3-house vibe from Fire Emblem. As you traverse from one area to another, you're kind of, looking for NPCs to advance the story. You stop in different halls so you can increase your stats, upgrades, and stuff like that. I like games where your home base constantly upgrades, or you get, access to different areas and stuff like that. I came from Suikoden, so that was kind of a hallmark of that series, so definitely in the right direction for that. And then on to our final major section. We've arrived at the main reason that most people would even consider buying this game, the combat. And I gotta say, it's pretty damn good. There's a radical change of pace from, say, Tactics Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics of yesteryear. It's a much faster paced strategy RPG, and its tempo I found to be the game's biggest appeal, with each match lasting around 6 to 8 minutes. Not quite as slow as, say, an XCOM, but more in line with maybe a Shadowrun Returns. Very fast-paced battles, I loved it. The game boasts several job skills broken into classics like Cavalry, Mages, Archers, Assassin types, which all offer their own unique take on the gameplay formula and have their own place on the battlefield. One thing that I consistently found myself really appreciating was that anytime you perform any type of weapon-based skill, in-game or summons, yes, this game has summons, it will automatically freeze the time and allow your actions to automatically execute, which was a much-needed reprieve in some very dicey situations. Graphically, when on the battlefield, everything looked pretty vibrant and snappy, without hardly a drop frame. This definitely helped provide a sense of immersion throughout the game's chapter. So in conclusion, I gotta say that I definitely enjoyed my brief time in the world of Diofield Chronicle, and they have successfully got a pre-order out of me. Damn, Square Enix, you're getting pretty good at that. Let me know down in the comments if you got a chance to play the demo and what your thoughts were. Until next time, LC signing out, peace.